Hi, and welcome to the second day of the LinkedIn Fitness Plan. Today I'm going to show you how to manage the people within your network, both how to add new people on, maybe if there are people that you want to remove from your network, and how to deal with the messages or the requests that you get in from people to join your network. So we're going to flip over to LinkedIn to take you through how to do this. Right, so the most important section here for managing your network is a little tab at the top called My Network, helpfully enough. Now, there's lots of things you can do within the My Network screen. If you've received invites in from other people asking to join your network, then this is where you'll see them. So if you get an email notification from LinkedIn saying, you've had an invite request from, whoever, then if you click on that link, this is the screen it will take you to. So you can see here that I've got a couple of LinkedIn invitations, connection requests that I've not responded to yet. And I've kind of deliberately done that so I could walk you through today as to how I deal with them. If you the more LinkedIn invitations you have, the more you'll see in your screen here. So the one I'm going to look at to start with is one I've had through from James Ainsworth. Now, James actually sent me a personalised message, which if you read today's email, you'll see something that not many people actually do. So James has already started to win a few brownie points with me because he's helped me know how I actually met him or how I know him, what we have in common. So he said, "Hi Rob, I met you at the online 4 networking event last week. I'd love to connect." It's a really short message, to the point, but it does exactly what it needs to. It tells me how I met him, it tells me what we've got in common, and it encourages me to connect with him, which is the most important thing with that very first message that you send somebody. What I can do though is I've got several different options here. One option is to click on James's profile, click on his name, and what I'll be able to do is to see more about him. So clearly I can see the whole of his headline now. I can see his cover photo as well, but also I can read his about section. So if I hadn't met James before and I didn't know what he did, then reading his about section would give me a little bit more information about him, about what he does, and about who he helps through his business. So that gives me some information to find out more about who James is. Now, if I just go back for a moment, you saw as well that James has actually sent me a message. So I've got the option here to reply to James. So if it wasn't as obvious to me as to who he was or why he was connecting with me, then I've got the chance to just hit reply there and type a message back to James, even though I've not actually connected with him yet. And that's one of the advantages of using this screen within LinkedIn, the My Network screen, because it helps you manage those connection requests without actually having to accept them and then maybe remove them afterwards. So that's one example. Another example here is I had a connection request through from Lizzie Roberts. Now, unlike James, Lizzie hasn't sent me a message. So all I can tell here is her name, her headline, and her photo. Okay, I can see a few of the connections we've got in common. Now, as it happens, I do know what Lizzie and I have in common. We were also at a networking meeting the other week, so I suspect that's why she sent me a LinkedIn connection request. But if I couldn't remember that, or I wasn't sure, I didn't recognize the name, then again, we can do what we did with James. I can click on Lizzie's name. I can see the rest of her profile here. I can scroll down and, oh, interestingly, she hasn't actually got an about section. So other than her headline, there's less to go on here to actually find out about what she does and about who she works with. So I could have a look at her activity, have a look at some of the posts that she's done, or maybe have a look at her experience. One of the things I find, if I get a connection request from somebody whose name I'm not that sure of, sometimes I'll look at their their career experience, because it might be that we actually worked together several years ago and I've unfortunately completely forgotten them. So looking at where somebody worked can also help you work out, actually, do I know them from the past, and maybe that's why they're getting in touch with me. So we'll just go back to the My Network screen before I do anything else here. One of the other things to explain around this is that you saw with the request I had from James that I had the option here of replying to his request. Now, because Lizzie hasn't sent me a message, I haven't got that similar option here. However, there is still a way that I could actually message Lizzie. So if I didn't know who she was, or I wasn't sure why she connected with me, then I could still send her a message to ask her that. So let me just show you how to do that. All you do here is on the My Network screen, there's a little option here that says See All. If you click on that, then you'll see the same, what looks like a similar screen. You'll see the same people that have sent you connection requests, but also there's an option down here, a little message option, which wasn't there before. So if I wanted to send Lizzie a message, then I could just send her a very simple message, and this is the type of message that I normally send people who I'm not sure why they connected with me. Just saying, hi Lizzie, thanks for your request, or thanks for your invite. I'm very slow at typing now. What prompted you to connect with me? Thanks, Rob. Now, I'm not going to send this, as I say, because I do actually know why she sent me the LinkedIn request. But if it was somebody that I didn't know or didn't recognize the name, then I'll send up a little email like that. Simply because it is a way to start the conversation and a way to make sure, essentially, that we've got something in common. Otherwise, I'm adding people into my network who I don't really know, I've never met, and I've not got anything in common with. In which case, it's not really much of a network, and it's not going to be that useful either to me or to them for us to connect. So those are a couple of examples of how to manage connection requests that you get in from people. Now, one of the things I mentioned in today's email, which if you haven't read, please go and have a read of it. One of the things I talk about is how to choose between the right people to add into your network and the wrong people. And the wrong people are the people I've just described, the people that you don't know, the people you've never met, and the people you don't have anything in common with. Because they're not really going to be able to help you. You know, if someone doesn't know you, they're not going to be able to refer work to you. You're unlikely to have sort of common connections or people that you know together. You're unlikely to be part of any community where you're likely to meet them either face-to-face or online. So in my emails, I talk about these people as being the wrong ones. And what I'm going to show you now is, if, for example, you did connect with somebody and then afterwards you realised actually you had nothing in common, and maybe they're, you know, you think you made a mistake. You've made a mistake, and you shouldn't actually have connected with them. It's not that they're actually bad people, but they're just the wrong people for your network. So how do you deal with that situation? How do you deal with someone that's joined your network but actually isn't right for you? Well, there's a couple of different ways that you can deal with it. So if I click back on the My Network tab again, on the left-hand side here, you can see that you've got an option to view all the connections in your network. This first one here. So if I click on Connections, you'll see it lists all of the connections in my network. And this is actually quite a handy way for just knowing who it is you connected with recently, because it's all done in reverse chronological order. So the most recent person I connected with was Chris London, and the person before that was Laura Shufflebottom, and before that was Joanne Parker, etc., etc. Now, I'm very happy with all these people in my network. I think they're the right people for me, so I'm not actually going to try and remove any of them. I'm just going to show you how you would do if you were in that situation. So, with apologies to Chris here, I'm going to just choose Chris just because he's the top of the list here. If I was to click the 3 dots next to Chris's name, then you'll see there's an option here to remove connection, and that just does exactly what it says on the tin. It will essentially just undo the connection that you've made with that person. You can just do that by yourself. The person that you're removing the connection from won't get notified about it. They don't have to agree it. essentially you can just make that decision actually that it wasn't the right connection for you, and you can just hit remove. So that's a fairly blanket option. Once you do that, that's it. You won't be able to send the messages in the same way that you do for other people in your network. They won't see your posts and you won't see their posts. So that's quite an extreme option. I must admit, I don't normally remove connections. It's very, very rarely that I do that. But one other option that you can take is to unfollow people. And the difference with unfollowing people is, if I click on the home page here, you'll see that in your home page, obviously, in the middle of your screen, you see all the different posts, the different content articles that people create and share on LinkedIn. And what you'll do is, when you go onto the feed, the content you see there is the content from your connections and from people you follow. Now, it may well be that you're connected with people and you know they're the right people for your network, but the content they share isn't content that you actually want to see on a regular basis, or maybe there's just too much of it, or maybe it's just not relevant to you. So one option you have, rather than actually removing them as a connection altogether, is simply to unfollow them. So I'm going to show you how to do that here. And again, I'm quite happy with what I'm seeing in my feed at the moment. So I'm not actually going to be unfollowing anybody, but I'm just going to show you how you would do it if you needed to. So apologies to Stuart here that I'm going to, his post is just at the top of my feed at the moment. So I'm going to click on his post here on the 3 dots in the top right corner. And you'll see I get a whole series of options here on Stuart's post. The key one that we're referring to here at the moment, though, is the unfollow option. So if this was somebody whose post I didn't want to see anymore, then I could click on unfollow, and I'd still be connected to them with it. They'd still be in my network. They'd still see my posts, but I wouldn't see their posts. And it just enables you to maintain the connection, but without necessarily having all their posts in your feed. If you decided to change it in the future and you wanted to start following them again, then clearly you could do that as well. So that's a couple of ways that you can actually manage the connections in your network, whether you want to accept new ones in, or you want to remove people that are in your network at the moment. So that brings us to the end of today's video in the LinkedIn Fitness Plan. If you've not already had a read through the email you got through today, then please do have a read through that for some more tips on how to manage your network and how to make sure you have the right people in your network rather than the wrong people. That's it for today. I'll see you on tomorrow's video.